Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I know you're probably, some of you out there kind of like, oh, it's another plant deck, although these are mostly trees. But this was requested that I please do a walkthrough of this newer Celtic tree oracle by Sherilyn Hidalgo with illustrations by Jimmy Manton, because there's a couple people who are thinking about getting it and they wanted to see this walkthrough. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we can't get enough trees and plants. I'm sorry. So this is a deck that I don't know if you follow my channel, you might remember on live chat. This is a deck that the universe wanted me to have. I had put it into my Amazon cart just as, you know, I think we all do this at some point, because I wanted to go back and take a look at it. I saw that it had come out and I wanted to remember it, so I stuck it in my Amazon cart. And then literally like the next day, didn't think anything about it, and the next day I got a text, because I get text messages from Amazon, you know, if something is happening to an order, saying that your deck is going to be here tomorrow. And I was like, what? What deck is going to be here tomorrow? I didn't order any deck. And went on to find out that it was this one, and I thought, okay, apparently the universe has spoken and I'm gonna get this deck. It's a deck that, you know, I knew I would probably love, so I wasn't, you know, too upset about it, but it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, thank you. Unfortunately, the universe did not pay for my deck. I had to do that. But so that's how I had come across this. So again, if you follow my channel, I sometimes feel like I'm repeating myself, but you just don't know who's watching and who's not. I had a tarot deck, the Llewellyn Tarot, about, I don't know what it would have been at this time. It's between, you know, 14, 15 years ago, where I had, or 13 or 14 years ago. Anyways, I don't know. I had, the Llewellyn Tarot was my tarot deck, and shortly thereafter, a friend of mine gave me the Brian Froud Heart of Fairy Oracle, and then I bought, not too long after that, I bought the Celtic Tree Oracle by Liz and Colin Murray, which is a Ogum, or Ogham. There's, you know, controversy on how it's the correct way to pronounce that, but it's based on the Oghams, and it's an absolutely stunning. I have gilded it myself with a matte gilding. It has the tree or the plant, the Ogham on the side. It has the dots there to let you know if it's a chieftain or a shrub or a peasant. There are classes in Oghams, and then it has, of course, the name both in Irish Gaelic and in English. And it's a beautiful deck. So I've had this. Those are my 3 decks that I had for like 9.5 years, and they were the main things that I worked with. So I've had this for a long time. I've also made a little set of my own Oghams here, just with a stamp on one side and this the Ogham on the other that I have as well. So you can see that they're both named the same thing, the Celtic Tree Oracle, Celtic Tree Oracle. So if you're looking for this to purchase it, make sure, if this is what one you're looking for, make sure you look for the creators Liz and Colin Murray versus Sherilyn Hidalgo with the illustrations by Jimmy Manton. So I was excited to see that another deck would come out about Oghams, or Oghams. I believe the proper name is probably Ogham, but you do hear people saying it in multiple ways. I, again, grew up in a time in which there wasn't, the internet did not abound, and so much of my learning came strictly from book reading, and so I definitely have gotten mispronunciations locked into my brain. So I do apologize for that. So it comes in, this is a Blue Angel deck. Let me get it right side out, but this is a Blue Angel deck, so of course it's a beautiful box. This is of course a small deck because there are only 25 Oghams. There are 20 in the primary set, and then there are 5 that have been added later. One of the things that I really liked and was so happy to see about this deck is that there are those 5 extra OMs can be used, sometimes show up differently, and this deck actually uses the same ones as this deck, which is what I learned to read from, and so that was a huge plus for me. If you're interested in both of these, they will work very well together because it is the same extra 5. So we have a beautiful, so there are only 25 cards, because I did hear, I think, where some people were like, oh, there's only 25 cards. It's an Ogham set, and there are only 25 Oghams, so, or OMs, however you want to call it. So that makes sense. You can see that Jimmy Manton's artwork is absolutely phenomenal in this deck. He has done quite a few Oracle decks. He's done my Halloween Oracle, which is one of my favorite Oracles of all time. He's also done, it's another one of his that I really love, and then he's also done the Gods and Goddesses and Gods and Titans. He has several decks that he's done, and he does have really amazing artwork, and I think it just shines in this particular deck, in my opinion. Now, the box, Blue Angel, beautiful green on the inside, which is gorgeous. We've got the nice bound guidebook, really nice guidebook. I'm so happy with this little preview. Then we have the cards, and of course the box green on the other side. Beautiful box, beautiful presentation. I mean, it's Blue Angel. We come to expect that. The same thing, we'll come back to these, and I have to put them in order in a second, but the backing is stunning. I personally couldn't ask for a better back. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's a gorgeous kind of antiqued green around it, and then this gorgeous Celtic knotwork in the middle. I think it's perfection. Why couldn't the Halloween Oracle be this kind of perfection on the back? But we will not go there. So really beautiful, typical Blue Angel stock. It's glossier than I would like, but it's nice Oracle stock. I don't really have any complaints other than the glossiness. I don't really have any complaints about Blue Angel card stock. And it's the typical Oracle size that you're always going to get with Blue Angel. So that's that. We'll come back to the cards in a moment. And let's zoom in a little bit on the book, because I actually think this is a really nice addition to this Oracle set. I do think that, if you don't have any background in OMs at all, and it's something that you're interested in, I actually do think this is a great little book. In some ways, now obviously I have learned off of this deck, and I really enjoy this, but in some ways, in terms of reading with it, I do think that this does a really good job about getting down to the nitty-gritty, which is nice. So you do have your table of contents. This is 2017. This is a new deck. You have all of your OMs here. One of the things that I do really love, and I don't mean this to be a comparison, but just, it's what I have, over. I do like how this shows, it has a quick synopsis of where to find this kind of your thing here, but it gives you keywords, really easy access to keywords, and really I've actually put on how to pronounce the OMs, although you can find multiple sites with multiple different pronunciations, just to be clear. I am just going to go with the English pronunciations today. Otherwise, I will have everybody telling me different ways of saying them correctly. And I have literally gone through several websites and attempted to find, but again, you can find multiple renditions of the same thing. But I do quite like the way that this has some of the extra charting set up that is really helpful. The other thing that I do really like about this particular deck is that the suits, so to speak, or the classifications of peasant, shrub, or chieftain are right on the card, so that you know that. That's one of the things that only other thing I wish they had changed here is added that classification in there. So there's of course a normal preface into it, an introduction. They do have it pronounced as OM or OM, kind of more like the OM. idea. So I'm tending to go with that OM myself, even though it's been quite a training, because I did did use this system for a very long time, calling it Ogum. So I do tend to kind of go back and forth, but I'm trying to retrain myself to the OM there. So it goes into a description and an explanation about the alphabet as a whole. There are 5 groups of 5 letters. The first 20 letters are called the theta or the fuse, and those are the original characters. And the first 4 groups are referred to as the who knows, but the tribes, and probably represented Ireland's provinces. And then it talks about the consonants and the vowels and all these kinds of things going into that. So they do a good job of kind of lining this out. The final 5 letters, which are these last 5, are called the crane bag or the forfida, and are said to have been given by the sea god Mannanan. And they represent vowel combinations as well as consonant combinations. Because they are more complex, they could not have been easily carved onto sticks or stones. They are thought to have been added to the alphabet later to accommodate Greek and Latin. But again, I do like the associations in this book are the same associations in the same 5 that are found in here. So if you want to get into it and use both decks, it really works well together. And then we do have this wonderful, which I quite like. I did go ahead and add in the page numbers so that I had that as well. So you have the Ogums set out as the fuse and the extra fuse. And it has sort of the symbol, the Gaelic as well as the English, and then a main keyword. And then I again added these page numbers in. Those were not there. So again, really nicely laid out. It talks about finding your birth tree, which I really loved, because these are associated with the calendar, the 13 lunar calendar of the Irish, and so I love that. So here we have my birthday. I have actually 2 of them. I have the reed and the blackthorn. And then that's for the northern hemisphere, and then they have it for the southern hemisphere. Talking about reading with the cards, dates, how to use the cards, past, present, future, the Celtic tree spread. I really like this one. I have used this one. I've had this deck for a little while and I quite love it. So we have the roots of the tree, what you may not be aware of, the trunk. Is what you are aware of, your conscious feelings about the situation. We have the branches and the leaves, which are influences from above, and then the flower and the fruit, which would be the outcome here. So a 4-card reading. They have the Celtic cross as well. These are big cards to do the Celtic cross. I would probably use my other deck for that. I have done Celtic crosses with Ogums using this deck, because of course I had this for so long, and my primary reading was the Celtic cross. So I've definitely used OMs for the Celtic cross. They work beautifully. This would just be quite a large deck to do that, but they have that there. And then it gets into the card messages, and you get a nice amount of information. So here is the very first one. You get a small image here. You have, of course, the title or the type of the tree. So here we have birch. Again, I'm just going to go to the English today. It gives you the northern and southern hemisphere dates that it's associated with. We have totem animals associated with it: snake, phoenix, and eagle. We have deities and guides. So we have Macha, Morgan, Caradwin, and Hecate, the crone aspect. The letter B, it is the peasant class. It's the first lunation, or the first lunar month. We have the celebration. It's connected with the Celtic New Year. And I've added in the color because that's something that I do like to pay attention to, and that is white. We have a bunch of keywords for the Ogham, we have an explanation, and then we have this quite a large section on what would this mean if you found this in a reading, as well as if you used it in its reverse or if it came up in a shadow position. And then a message from the position of the tree. I am the beautiful birch tree. I wear bright gold and red leaves in autumn, and so on and so forth. So a really nice chunk of information, both divinatory and sort of messagey, sort of, you know, like this message here from the tree, but also a lot of great just straight up information regarding the correspondences, as well as a nice good chunk of keywords. So I think that they did a really good job with this guidebook. I'm quite thrilled with it. And so that it goes all the way through, of course, all of the trees. And then at the end, I love this because you all know, if you follow me, that I'm following the Wheel of the Year. There is an appendix tying this into the Wheel of the Year. I think that it gives you information about all of them. So for right now, we are in the summer solstice right here. Midsummer, Litha, Alban, Heroine, and it talks about, this is in the middle of the Call or the Hazel month. So the hazel tree, get that out here, which should be in, oops, here. So that's the month that we're in here, and so this is something that I can also set up with my Wheel of the Year things because it goes along with that. So really nice to have that connection as well in my following the Wheel of the Year this year. So, you know, just I really like this. If you're interested, again, is this, you know, this is a small book. It's not real big. It's about 112 pages, including information on the artist. So actually 110 pages of text. But I feel like they really get a good solid amount of information in there to get somebody started, and or like me, to refresh my memory because it's been a while since I've used them consistently. So it's a great refresher and nice to quickly access that information. So 2 thumbs up for the guidebook for sure. And that gets us to the actual cards. I've already talked about cardstock, talked about this. I'm going to definitely have to do something here, either with the tan color or with this beautiful green if I can find something. You could definitely trim this down if you wanted it to be a little bit smaller because we have this inner border and then the outer border. I'm really not a fan of double borders. I don't generally trim oracle decks. This one, you know, it wouldn't hurt the back whatsoever to do so, but it would kind of, if you rounded it, would cut into that corner, which might annoy me, so then I'd have to leave it square. So at the moment, I haven't done anything about it because I don't mind it. I generally pull 3 cards with Oghams anyways, so it's not something that's a problem for me. Let's see if we can zoom in just a little bit more. And run through these. So again, the first 20 are the original, and then we kind of move on from there. Now, one of the things that, you know, makes this, I think, a little bit more difficult for someone who doesn't have any any prior knowledge of Oghams is that the cards themselves only have the, you know, an image, and then the symbol, the actual Ogham symbol, and then it's numbered, which is, you know, nice for hurry up and, you know, being able to find it easily in the guidebook. Thank you. And then the name. There are no keywords on the cards, and I know that it would make it easier to have those keywords, but if you think about, if you look at the wide variety of meanings and keywords that you can come up with for this, to narrow that down to a couple of them can sometimes bring your brain into that focus of, oh, it's just these 3 things. And there's only 25 OMs. It's not a hard system, you know, once you're using it regularly to start to learn. Not to mention, for a while, just kind of grab a hold of your guidebook. So that for me kind of leaves things open, although I definitely can see that somebody who just wants to use it as an oracle deck and not work, you know, not have to like memorize anything, that could be a little bit of a downside, but I do really like that it just kind of leaves it open, like my other ones were like that. And it really, once you're using them consistently, it becomes pretty easy to pick up on them. So my only real downside to this is that, and now I'm looking just to make sure that, nope, the borders stay the same. I'm like, maybe the borders change, but no. My only big like thumbs down for the actual cards is that I do think, I wish it would show whether it was a chieftain, a peasant, or a shrub. But again, that's something that you can obviously refer to in the guidebook as well. So here we have the birch, which is the key. I'm going to just give you these quick keywords that are in this one, just so you get a little bit, if you don't have any understanding or past experience with OMs, you kind of have a little bit of an idea, but I don't want to, I've already done a video on OMs in general, and it was so long and so rambly. I had my friend look at it, and he was like, it's hard to follow for someone who didn't have any prior knowledge of OMs, and so I have to redo it. So I don't want to go too far into that, because I do plan on doing a video more in-depth about OMs in general. So here we have birch, which is for beginnings. We have rowan, which is for protection and astral travel. We have the alder, which is for guidance. I really love how you get sort of the tree in the background, and then you have the leaf and or sometimes the seeds or the berries or the flowers if there's a flower there. I just think the imagery is gorgeous. The beautiful willow here, which is the feminine energy. It's the principle. It's also about intuition. Here we have the ash tree it reflects the world tree, and also is that kind of inner and outer realm here. We have the hawthorn, beautiful hawthorn. I love the colors here. I love the hawthorn flowers that we have for cleansing. We have the oak, of course, with the acorn for strength. We have the holly for justice as well as polarity, those kind of balance and opposites and polarity and duality kind of ideas. We have the hazel, which we are in right now, for intuition and wisdom. The apple is for choice, ancestors, and reflects Gaia, that beautiful kind of the fruit of Gaia there, which is gorgeous. We have the vine for prophecy and ecstasy. We have the ivy here for the labyrinth and the journey into self. We have the reed for direct action. How gorgeous. Because sometimes they're not trees. Mostly they're trees, but there are other things such as ivy and reed and these types of things. And how beautiful is that? We have the blackthorn for negation, the keyword that they're using. The elder for death and rebirth. The silver fir, this can be any fir tree. They also have / pine, because it can be for pine tree. I believe this deck has it as that as well. Silver fir, yeah, it has a silver fir here. For high views and long sight. This is foresight and higher vision. So we can see that there is definitely, I'm really happy with how these two work together. Here we have the gorse or the firs here. And I've lost my place. This is for collecting and gathering energy. Beautiful heather. This can also be mistletoe. I don't, let's see. And this is just curiosity for me. I know, again, I'm not trying to compare these two. It's just that I've used this for so long. Yeah, it's heather. So I'm really glad to see the heather there, although obviously mistletoe will work. This is the link to inner self, and this is really about healing. They have it also for spiritual power in this deck. We have the poplar, white poplar, or the aspen tree for adversity and courage. We have the yew, gorgeously painted yew tree for rebirth, legacies, and the ancients. And then the last 5, which are the extra, we have the grove. This is the grove, the overarching grove of trees. This is the temple. This is silence, meditation. This is part of the void. It's stunning. The beautiful spindle for fulfillment, insight, light, and lightning. We have the honeysuckle for secrets, seeking, and insight. I do wish the symbols were a little bit larger, because, it would be nice to have that to stand out a little bit more prominently, but that's just little things. We have the beach for generations, the past, and knowledge from the past. And then the beautiful sea card. The sea symbol is one of my favorites. This is about the journey. These are links. This is links to the land as well. Liminal spaces. It's one of my favorite of the OM symbols, and I think this is just gorgeously painted. So, beautiful, beautiful cards if this is a system that you are interested in working with. I'm going to go ahead and try to do, well, first we'll do a quick past, present, and future card or reading. And then we'll try to do, there's no way, if you can see, especially without trimming them, even 3 is a stretch, but to be able to do 2 is impossible. So I'm just going to have to kind of jury rig the way it's set up differently, but just so you can at least see it being used in those positions. So I'm going to use 1, 2, and 3 at the bottom here. So you can just look at these as past, present, and future. So we have the blackthorn here, which is, well, I guess we should go with what they have. This is generally about a card that's not super pleasant. I know it's beautiful, but the way that I learned it, this was sort of that idea that things are unpleasant, but you really don't have a choice in the matter. So there's a little bit of a blockage. So let's just see, because I haven't done a lot of comparison here. You need to make boundaries. There is the idea of fate here, strife. There's some disruption going on, but you need to learn from those challenges. So it definitely has that energy there. Protection, boundaries, fate, strife, negation, outside influences, disruption, learning from challenges, drawing on strength, new direction, because things have been shaken up. That gives you that idea of new, but you definitely get a sense that, whatever the situation might be, there's some difficulty, there's some disruption in the flow of things, but it's something that you can learn from. So we have that going on here. So you can see these are quite nuanced, even though you think, okay, this is just a tree. Well, there's actually quite a lot. It talks about how when you get it, you're in need of protection. protection. So energetically, you're in need of protection. Even though you're not going to have any choice about what's happening, you do have a choice in how you're going to respond to it. There's quite a lot that goes into these OMs. It's not a simple system with quick meanings to them. There's a lot of depth to OMs, and I think that it's a beautiful, beautiful system. I mean, the same with runes. I have worked with runes in the past, but for me personally, I find that just an amazing amount of depth in OMs, and it's probably because it's one that I worked with longer. But I just feel like the guidebook does a really great job. So here in the present here, we have the elder. And so the elder, which is interesting, is it follows the blackthorn in terms of the order. It follows the blackthorn. And so this is the idea of rebirth. It is the idea that there is an end and a beginning and an end, which is really interesting, which is good, right? Because we're having trouble here. Let me see. I don't know. Let's see what they say again. Renewal, transformation, regeneration, the idea of the cauldron, the birth and the rebirth. So we have that threshold. This is a doorway. They talk about you're standing in the midst of the door, about to step through. And they even say that too, which is what I learned in the other one. Elder's theme is the end in the beginning and the beginning in the end. It marks a time for personal withdrawal, retrospection, and release. You're getting ready to step through a threshold, which again, if this was difficult, right? If you were coming out of this difficult time, that's really important to see that there. And then moving forward, we have the white poplar is what I think I learned it from, not the ash, although I know that was one that was associated, but I have associated it with the poplar. And what's interesting is this actually helps with rebirth, which, we're talking about rebirth here, and we have this moving forward into that more fully. But again, let's take a look at there. Here, adversity, endurance, determination, spiritual strength. I really love that idea of they're very hardy trees. It talks about being fast growing and resilient, resistant and resilient. So we have that idea of things have been difficult. You're moving into a new threshold, and you have the strength that you need to do that. You have that sturdiness and that ability to move forward. Again, you may be dealing with difficulty, but you will have the strength to endure this. You are going to be able to handle it. So that is really, I think, quite beautiful. You're offered protection and shielding if you get this card. Yes, so I think that that's really beautiful. And it does talk also about going within and listening to that voice inside, as well as being willing to reach out and ask for help. So really a beautiful, beautiful depth to this reading. And I do think that, again, I know I've said it a bunch of times, but I think this is a great guidebook to go towards learning this beautiful system. And I hope that you won't take the lack of keywords as meaning it's not like user friendly, because yes, it requires some work of going towards and learning the system. But if you've got this great resource to quickly flip to and work with, I wouldn't let that stop you if this is something that intrigues you. So this has been a quick look at the Celtic Tree Oracle by Charlene Hidalgo with the beautiful illustrations by Jimmy Manton. I hope that this helps. I know a few people that are questioning about this deck. I hope that this helps you kind of make that decision, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.